Let's talk about money. Specifically, how the hell to finance your startup when you're just starting out from zero. The answer to this is quite boring, which is probably why no one talks about it, but it works. In this video, I'm sharing how I've been financing my journey, what I've learned about sales so far, and how I closed my first customers for public. I'm also talking to some of the other founders in the space to learn more about their approaches. And I interviewed a VC investor about the whole bootstrapping versus fundraising thing. So you can get many perspectives on how to get started. After this video, you really have no excuse left. Let's go. First revenue, let's fucking go. Let's start by zooming out and having a look at all the options you have when it comes to financing your startup. So I'm here with Paula. Paula's an experienced VC, so much more qualified to talk about this than I am. And yeah, I would just be curious to hear your opinion on this. When does it make sense to think about fundraising, go down the VC route? How should you get started if you don't have crazy runway as a solo founder? What would you suggest to people?
So firstly, I'm not going to try to sell you that you need to go to the venture capitalist, to make that very clear. Obviously there's two ways you can finance your business. One way is you bootstrap it. You find some creative ways to finance yourself outside of taking any dilution on your equity. And the other option is get outside capital. Within the bootstrapping, there's probably two options. One is you have runway from something else, so either from your job before, or you're doing agency work, some sort of cash flow business on the side. That's also why a lot of people start their business as like a side hustle. So they have a main job that's feeding sort of the runway for the second job or for the new endeavor. If you don't have that, let's say you're just coming out of university and maybe you bartended a little bit, but you don't have insane runway. I think the other option there is to focus on selling your product first. So try to get as many customers signups and try to get a few of them to prepay you for what you're building. The great thing about that is, one, it shows you if they actually really want it, because if they're not willing to pay, then it's probably not that interesting. And number two, it gives you the runway.
I totally agree. Like this sell first, build later is definitely the way to go. But it sounds much easier than it is. Yeah. And I experienced it myself. You kind of want to build, you want to deliver to people, and finding the balance between actually selling them the dream and then delivering on the results is not that easy. But I think a really great point you made is like going the freelance route, especially if you don't have that much entrepreneurial experience. I think going for service-based businesses is a great starting point, because you don't have the whole overhead of trying to build a scalable product and everything that comes with it, but you directly engage with the customer. And of course, if you already know a problem space that you want to tackle, just start a service business in that problem space.
And then automate more and more,
and then slowly
productize.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is a very great way to go about things. And that's also kind of the way that I started. But so what do you do if you have like really high ambitions and you want to build the next Google?
Right. And you need to buy a factory floor or something. Exactly. So there's just no option to self-finance it. Around the bootstrapping, I think if you can, it's a great idea to do that, because the more risks you remove, the higher your leverage also will be when you do end up raising. If that's not an option and you need to go for outside capital, there's kind of, I would say, three options on what you can do there. So one option is you do an angel round. So you look for people in the industry you're going to serve, maybe your customers, maybe your professors. If you're just coming out of university, there's going to be people who believe in you and who want to support you in an angel capacity. That way you don't have to actually go to the institutional venture capitalists. So I think this can be a great option if the number you're looking to raise is small enough. Ideally, look for people where the amount of money they're investing in you is it's fine if it's a loss for them. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of friends and family rounds, because if, your mom is putting in substantial amount of her own cash that would hurt to lose, that's like putting pressure on you that is not going to be nice when it gets tough when you're building a company. Number two is sort of the incubator route. The good news is there is no shortage of institutional capital in the market. So if you're building something interesting and you're ambitious, there's going to be a lot of options. And there's a lot of these incubator programs which are basically geared towards people who are very early and where the idea and everything is still quite illegible. And number three is the actual VCs. And amongst them, there's sort of the very early stage focused funds. And then there's the multi-stage funds who also happen to do very early rounds. I could probably do a 2-hour video only on like how to go about this.
Yeah, that's
But
a
yeah,
science in
it's
itself.
it's a whole science in itself. And maybe one more thought. There is also such a thing or like a trend now with founders of seed strapping, which means doing one round, but planning to go the profitable round after that. So not everything is like a complete lock-in, but I would always talk to your investors about what they expect. So I think what's not so cool is to get an institutional multi-stage VC in whose expectation very clearly is that you're going to go the venture route and you're going to do all these rounds and then secretly like have the plan that you're never going to raise again. That's tough. So you should always talk about those expectations, but not every investor wants you to go that whole like kind of crazy scaling journey with, all of these rounds subsequently.
I think that was a good overview. My takeaway in general, I'm a bit more on the skeptic side when it comes to fundraising. Like the only validation of a business is revenue and profit. There's literally nothing else. And it's so easy, especially if you have a little bit of network and like some nice stations on your CV. It's so easy to raise a round and get this validation and people cherish you, oh, crazy pre-seed round. But that's not a validation of a business.
Nope.
So always keep that in mind, no matter which route.
100% agree. And I think you should really only raise if it makes sense for your company, not as like a milestone for your journey.
And if you really know what you're going to do with the money.
Yes, 100%. Really think about whether it's the right thing for you versus a tick mark.
Cool. Thanks, Paula.
Thank you.
All right, that was the overview. Now let me show you how I got here, how I approached the whole financial side of building my startup, and how I made my first revenue. These past years, besides my studies, I was running a marketing agency where I did content production, automations, and performance marketing for SMEs. It was fun, I had really cool clients and made good money, but it was always trading time for money, with no path towards scaling this and building actual leverage. In the meantime, I got my first taste of the startup world, and I loved it. There was an incredible energy in the team and the sense of unlimited possibility. The more I learned about startups, the more I realized that this is exactly what I want. Creating something from nothing, complete independence, constantly growing as a person, turning ideas into reality. Just like what I loved about filmmaking, but on a whole new scale. So it became pretty clear to me that I want to start working on my own startup. The good thing is this whole agency experience made it easier for me to get started with founding, because through it I gained deep expertise in a topic, in my case content marketing. I built up business experience and a strong network over those years, and also a solid amount of savings from past projects, which allowed me to experiment for a while without directly having this immediate revenue pressure or the need to fundraise. But I also would not overvalue this agency experience. If you already know that you want to build a scalable tech startup, then start doing that. The challenge is very different from a service-based business. However, I still think that within the problem space that you want to tackle with your startup, it can make a lot of sense to start out with a productized service. Don't just lock yourself into a room and build a product without validating it first. If you start offering the same value that you want to create as a service first, instead of directly building the product, you can make revenue from the beginning, you can validate fast, and you can iterate and improve your product in collaboration with your first paying customers. And this way you know that everything you build has actual value to them. So do things that don't scale, and this is exactly how I approach this. Yesterday evening I closed my second pilot customer, and now it's sunny. I just got back from a sauna, breathwork and ice bathing session. Perfect way to start the day. Life's good. Here's what I've learned these past few weeks. Number one, personal branding and building in public works. My first pilot customer proactively wrote me on LinkedIn saying that he's interested in working with me. At that time, I wasn't even sure if and in what way I want to offer a productized service. We had a quick call where it was more him convincing me to offer something like that. He was unhappy with his current agency and searching for something better. And in that call, I noticed, okay, hey, this might actually make sense as a first step. So we agreed on a deal and started working together. Together, we defined his positioning using the tool that I built in my last video. Just created a little wow moment.
All right, that's sick. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And now we're running everything completely asynchronously using WhatsApp and Notion. So very simple setup, nothing over-engineered. He just brain dumps his thoughts and resources, and I leverage my N8N automations to create good content out of it, while still being in the loop to ensure that everything hits a certain quality standard. So far it worked great. His reach on LinkedIn exploded, many new opportunities came in, and I also learned a lot when it comes to improving the product. Also, all my other leads entirely came through LinkedIn and YouTube, and I haven't even pushed hard on it. I just mentioned the pilot program briefly in one post. So yes, content works. It's a great way to get those leads organically to you, but you still need to know how to do sales and qualify those leads, which brings us to the next learning. Learning number 2, sales is an art that I still need to master. It's kind of ironic because with my agency, I was building funnels for others, but I never really had to do sales myself. My clients always came to me through referrals. So I don't really have much experience in it. And I also had this typical stereotype in mind that sales calls involve some Wolf of Wall Street type of shit.
Take it easy, Kev.
Hey, thanks, Jordan. Thanks a lot.
Which is of course completely wrong. Selling is really just about creating value, building genuine relationships, and helping people solve problems. In my case, I was way too fixated on that initial offering, which is very dumb because at such an early stage, it totally makes sense to just learn and test with customers instead of having this one thing in mind that you want to push through. It helped me to reframe selling from making sales to just starting conversations. It's really not about you and your offering, it's about them. So just be chill, focus on building good relationships and providing value first. And this will then naturally lead to sales conversations, but feels much better for everyone involved. The third realization I had is that context switching sucks. Before I started working on sales, I was pretty much only building stuff or making content. And now I also had to constantly juggle emails, DMs, and meetings. This context switching is very straining, and for the first time I fully noticed the limits of being a solo founder. I think a good analogy is if you want to burn something using the sunlight with a magnifying glass, you need to hold the glass long enough at one point in order to have an impact. But with all those constant messages and meetings, I felt like I was switching my focus all the time without getting much done in any domain. There's a great essay by Paul Graham on this, where he basically argues that managers can switch tasks every hour, but makers need long, uninterrupted blocks to build anything meaningful. I definitely thrive more on the maker's schedule, so now the question is, how can I find a good solution that helps me get more done and be more happy with my schedule? I have several approaches that I'm currently thinking about to solve this, and I will definitely share more about that in my upcoming videos, so subscribe to not miss it. But in the meantime, I hopefully have something that helps me stay a bit more sane in this chaos. I just got an express delivery straight from SF, and I couldn't be more hyped about it. Quick disclaimer, this video is supported by the product you're about to see next, another way of financing my journey. But I promise you, I won't use this channel to promote random shit. Only every now and then some stuff I'm genuinely excited about and that fits in the story I want to tell. In this case, I have a very personal connection to the product and its founders, and I think we can learn a lot from how they approached building the startup. This is Pocket, the product from friends of mine. Last year I lived with them in a hacker house in San Francisco, and they literally started building this in our garage, turned it from a messy junk room into a proper hardware lab. And it's just so cool to follow their journey from day one, basically. I also produced their announcement video back then, and now this is one of the first units they shipped. The build quality is crazy. And what do we have here? Wow. I've never seen that in a product. This is literally Apple level, at least. It's crazy to see how much care and craftsmanship and love they put into this. That just really shows they care. And it's also crazy to see how far they have come. Just 2 guys in a garage without VC funding, and there you have it, a proper product. So once again, the message to you, you can just do things, even innovative hardware projects like this. Pocket is your thought companion. It's basically a voice recorder that uses AI to transcribe, sort, and summarize your thoughts and conversations in a very frictionless and smart way. I like that this is not just another chaotic recording app, but an actual sleek, minimalist hardware device that works everywhere, reliably, offline, and without a screen. And you don't have to worry about anything else. Ah, so satisfying. I've linked the website in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. show them some love. And I actually think this is an AI product that can be useful for many of you, especially if you're navigating the chaos of building a business. This is a great way to keep your thoughts together. So far in this video, we had an overview of ways to finance your startup. I shared my own experience with you. But to give you even more perspective, let's have a chat with some of my founder friends to see how they do it. Those are some of the most crack builders I know, and I'm sure they have some wisdom for us. All right, my man, you made first revenue this week.
Yes.
How did you do it? What are your learnings?
When it feels most dark, most hard, when you're about to give up, that's when you need to push through. Like there is this quote, like actual, I think, lecture by Ben Horowitz. He basically talks about like how self-doubt is the main thing every entrepreneur has to face.
The doubts are going to be there. Ignore the doubts. And the worst doubts aren't the ones people put on you, it's the ones that you put on yourself. Every entrepreneur has them. Like there's nobody, I spent a lot of time with Mark Zuckerberg when he was like 22 years old, and like he had a tremendous doubt about whether it was going to make it. So that's not, everybody has that. It's not what you feel, it's like what you do. And so just focus on what you do. Like you're gonna feel scared. If your guts aren't boiling, you're not even trying at this thing.
That's the thing you sign up for, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think like people who crazy enough to try build their own stuff, entrepreneurial people, they like doing hard things, they like accomplishing things, and for them it's like, okay, if I signed up for this, I'm willing to do hard things, I'm willing to go through this like negative emotions, self-doubt, etc. And I'm willing not to quit, not to give up, and those people eventually people who win. I'll give you an example. We had like 50 onboardings of our beta product, and every single something broke. And I was like, for 2 weeks, I was going like really, depressed. I kept showing up. I was like, oh fuck, is this really gonna work? And someday, just like one customer paid and told me that's exactly what I need. And I told him, like, do you realize like the product is broken? It's like it's very much better. Like you don't have to pay if you don't want to. He's like, no, I'm fine. The most magical moments I felt in my life, and they worth so much in positive emotions because you suffered so much to get to this point. And if it wasn't that hard, it wouldn't feel this great. And I think this is entrepreneurship. So what I learned so far, self-doubt is normal. Managing your own psychology is the most important things. And don't be too hard on yourself. Don't take it too seriously. In the end of the day, it's a game. Like you don't have like to identify yourself with success or whatever you're building. You and what you're building are different things. And so if you take things, it's hard, but if you take things less seriously, it kind of helps in a way.
All right, David, you raised an angel round and now you're just building. What exactly is your approach to financing the startup?
Yeah, so I got some initial angel investment, and like we're running very lean, so this is actually quite a good amount of runway. And now we try to bring the product into a shape that is good enough to actually finance our next round or go to market, and also like show some initial revenue that gives enough signal to then raise a proper VC round.
So you're thinking really big. You want to dominate the whole email space.
Yeah, so like I want to dominate the space, and also with email, the bar of what needs to be done to actually provide value is a bit higher than for other things that you do from scratch.
Yeah.
So you actually need some level of product readiness already in order to provide value and then raise a round.
Nice, thanks. Right, I mean, your past startup had VC funding, now you're bootstrapping. What is your experience?
When I was like doing like a VC-backed company, I was not alone. I had a co-founder, we had investors, you have a team, you have like many things that dictate to you like how you should do things. And I was not like feeling that I'm doing like the stuff that I love and I'm just like following it. It was like more than that. You're building a business, you're building a company that has to grow fast, and you have to look at your growth, at your numbers and all of that. But now, like when bootstrapping, I'm literally working on things that I truly love, things that I'm taking my time to find like product market fit. I'm not looking for the big hits. I'm looking for smaller hits. And it's a different mentality, like how like to approach business, to approach actually the velocity of doing things, the mindset, how to do stuff, and also like how do you want to handle your finances. In a VC-backed company, you have a lot of money and you just burn and grow and like go big. In Bootstrap, I'm not trying to burn all of my runway and be fast. I'm just trying to find a good business that gives me a good life standard that I can just drive. I can have not just one, I can have 2, 3, 4 of them. There is like no pressure there and things are different. And it's not because it's VC is bad or anything. It's just I want to play a different game now and that's what I'm doing.
Nice. And you're shipping fast.
Yeah, shipping should never stop. People, local hosts is not allowed. When you do startups, you're not allowed to be a local host. Always ship your stuff, show it to people, because who are you to decide that the stuff you're doing actually is good or makes sense? The people with the credit cards are allowed to say if your stuff is actually worth it or not. So ship to production, show your stuff to people, and let them decide if you should continue or not.
Yes, that's the spirit.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. I have to say, Amin is our king of shipping. Like he is shipping fast, and he is encouraging all of us to ship really fast. So really motivating to have him around. Here in the Pocket app, you can see the transcripts and summaries of the conversations I had. You can even chat with the conversations and ask questions. And it generated a mind map based on the core insights. Pretty cool. This thing definitely inspired me to not just create something that is functional, but something that also feels good. Sure, ship fast, don't get lost in perfectionism, but I don't want to neglect my passion for beauty, detail, and craftsmanship. If you build something with love and care, even for someone you'll never meet, they can feel it. And at a time where it has never been easier to build stuff, this taste, love, and care is one of the last big differentiators you have. It definitely is a great differentiator for Pocket. Okay, I want you to take away 2 things from this video. First, think about your intentions. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to go through the painful journey of trying to build a startup? Because if money is your main motivator, better stop. It's too hard and too uncertain for that. There are easier ways to make money. Second, don't overcomplicate things. Paula gave you the overview. I showed you my journey so far. My friends shared theirs. But in the end, it all comes down to this. Find one person with a problem and solve it for money. That's literally it. See you in episode 6.
And sometimes people come to me and say, I want to start a company. And I say, why? They say, oh, I want to make lots of money. I say, forget it. That's not a good enough reason. Most people that have started companies because they want to make lots of money, I haven't seen very many of those succeed. The ones that succeed are people that come, sometimes they don't even want to start a company, they just have an idea that they want to get out, expressed out into the world. And oftentimes they have to start a company because nobody else will listen to them.